You know when you see an album cover and you just know that's gonna be my thing? That was this new album, Terrapath, by UK band Plantoid. This AI-looking cover art really conjures up that 70s nostalgic LP era, but it also looks futuristic. You know, it's that juxtaposition between classic and modern. But it also represents the idea of a plantoid, which is both synthetic and organic, which is really the sound of the band, so it just works on every level as a cover and a concept. Plantoid has a heavy dose of frip and jazz rock in their sound, with spoonfuls of psych and krautrock and math rock and post-rock and space rock and, I don't know, funk. Yeah, it's just this delicious gumbo, you know, that's been cooked on low and it's been sitting in the fridge for 2 to 3 days. Just that sweet spot. Honestly, this particular stew of sound could really serve as the intro music to this YouTube channel. You know, it just hits that perfect crossover of indie and prog, and also throws in some genres that are pretty close to my heart, like jazz and psych. And yeah, I loved it on first listen, but I love it even more now. So that whole gumbo metaphor really holds up. 3 members of this band Plantoid are from the coastal city of Grimsby. They were childhood friends in the UK, and the other 2 are from Portugal and Spain. And Terrapath is the big debut album, which starts with a very unassuming track, Is That You?, a hazy piece that takes its time, gradually building from atmospheric guitars and pads, adding vocal layer after layer and some Spanish-flavored percussion. It all climaxes with this atmospheric break and this big psych guitar riff. There's just such lively and inventive playing from every instrument. It's really a showcase of an opening track. The second track, Pressure, is a little bit more immediate and punky, but still with all the nuance and intricacy. You know, you got the guitar just going on all sorts of tangents in the left channel, totally separate from the vocal melody. One thing you'll notice right away with this album is a very live kind of sound. It's not particularly polished in terms of isolation or mixing. And that's because it was recorded live with the band playing together, and then they went back and added some light overdubs and reworked parts on top of those live recordings. The band said it's easier and more fun to work with the limitation of recording a few takes to tape than dealing with the potential infinity of takes and overdubs by building it from the ground up. I just love that idea, you know, I really resonate with that. You continue to hear that looseness, that energy on the spacious third track, Modulator, which flexes the jazz a little bit more, but still has such dynamic range and variation across its 6 minutes. Chloe Spence's voice has a very Esperanza Spalding-like smoothness, but maybe with a little bit more of a psych thing going on, like Melody Prochet from Melody's Echo Chamber. I also think of a band like Mamalarkey. Most of the time she does fill a more textural role in the music rather than being a dominant personality, which I can respect that. Wonder Wander is another longer track on the album that feels more light and effervescent and carbonated. The bubbly bass and guitar lines and synth touches just bring you up into the ether until a groovy guitar riff breaks in around 2 minutes and just commands attention. It really reminds me of like a Jimmy Page riff in that way. Not only stylistically, but also just totally having the floor and having all the attention. And the song just soars to new cosmic jammy heights after that moment. As they wander from playful riff to riff, getting really soft and delicate at times, and then just working it back up into a frenzy. The guitar work from Tom Coyne on this track in particular is one of the highlights on the album. There's just so much swagger and chemistry going on instrumentally. This is one that feels like it could be played at a big jam band festival or just a big festival environment, but it also has the sweat level and intensity of like a basement show. Anytime anything sounds like vaguely motoric, I say it sounds like King Gizzard, and this next song, Insomniac Don't Worry, is definitely like that. It carries forward that rhythm guitar part from the song Wonder Wander. Seriously though, it does remind me of the King Giz song Trapdoor. It's got that same rhythm to it. Also reminds me of an album like Quarters from them. Really, it's like a little bit of King Gizzard's Quarters, a little bit of their pop, psych, folk sound like on Paper Mache Dream Balloon, and then a little bit of their more kind of rockin', jammier albums like I'm in Your Mind Fuzz. While the short instrumental track GY Drift is like nothing King Giz could do. It's like a proggy, Latin flavored jazz fusion song that's so immediate, so punchy, so in your face. Dog's Life is another punchy track that is a little under 4 minutes, but has everything the band does well. You got these jagged, progressive guitar riffs, you got very dreamy vocals, starts and stops all over the place. Thanks to a very tight rhythm section that seems to have every little syncopated stab and flourish just choreographed to perfection. There's psych fuzz and jazzy bits and these kind of Spanish bits, and I mean just so much going on. The closer, Softly Speaking, is a soft piano ballad with haunting vocals. And finally, like a really emotional vocal performance. She rips off this R&B run during this song, and it's like, I did not know that was in there. Which makes me so excited to hear more from this band, because even on the last track, I'm hearing new things, new talents from band members that, you know, this band just seems to be dripping with talent. As I listen to the album, I'm learning all these little chord changes and all the little nuances and, you know, all the stuff that you pick up on a great progressive rock album or jazz fusion album or more complex music like that. And it just keeps revealing hints of flavor and depth. Yet these songs are pretty short and digestible. You know, there's nothing over like 6 minutes here, and most songs are like 3 to 5 minutes. And the album runtime, I think, is under 40, so you can just listen on repeat. Nothing on this record I would consider catchy, you know, but it does have good pop sensibility. There's really strong melodies and harmonies throughout, and it never feels like it's just jamming for jamming's sake. And I just feel like we're on the cusp of something even greater. I feel like if somebody gave these guys a chance, and I get it, you know, the mathier, proggier stuff, some of these other sounds don't really fly in the mainstream, but even in the alternative mainstream, you know, like Pitchfork. But if they just gave it a shot, I do feel like this band could be huge. If they can just dial in their songwriting even more, I think they could be on the verge of something pretty special. This is just one of those music discoveries that makes me excited about new music. And I think spreading that and spreading albums like this is a pretty worthy mission for the whole channel. If you haven't yet, please like this video, comment below with what you think of Terrapath. And as always, thank you so much for watching.